The carbon cycle describes the way that carbon moves between the different spheres on Earth. So carbon's quite an important molecule because it has 4 binding sites that can potentially bind to 4 other different types of molecules. And because of this, it's an important atom for creating biological molecules, which is what all living things are made out of. So all proteins, carbohydrates, fats are all made out of, they're all hydrocarbons, and they all have carbon as the backbone of their molecules. So it's quite an interesting exercise to go through as to how carbon moves around the different spheres of Earth and is made constantly available in fresh forms to support biological life. And that's the important point with the recycling of matter, is that it's always made available in a fresh form so that living things can incorporate those molecules into their bodies to support them in their functions they carry out. So maybe the best place to start is from the sun and the ability of plants through photosynthesis to use that sunlight to convert the carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere with water that they absorb from their roots. So they use that carbon dioxide, they draw out water from their roots, and then they use the power of sunlight to fuse those molecules together to make a bigger molecule, which is sugar. And then those sugars can be fed through their roots to the soil biology. So it's a food source for the soil biology, and that soil biology in return provides nutrients and minerals to the plants. So it's a mutually beneficial exchange between the soil organisms and the plants. Or the plants will incorporate them into their tissues, so their leaves, their trunks, their branches, and grazers can come along and eat those tissues. And therefore the carbon that the plants have used to make their own tissues will then be passed on to the grazers and be used to make their tissues. So all their proteins and fats and carbohydrates were made from the plants through photosynthesis. And then other living things in the food chain will then eat the grazers, and the carbon will pass through the food chain to the rest of the living things that are in that food web of that particular ecosystem. And then there's some more ways in which carbon can get down into the soil. So if you remember, the soil is the lithosphere. So we're getting a movement of carbon from the plants and the animals, which is the biosphere, down into the lithosphere. And it does that through the plants releasing exudates into the soil, or the plants dropping leaf litter, and that leaf litter being decomposed and being returned as an organic matter to the soil, or the animals dying or producing manures.